introduce people and talk about stuff. It's so much easier. The center of Universal Light is a unique, independent, interspiritual community where we celebrate life, Mother Earth, and the mystical union of oneness using a rich diversity of ancient and contemporary wisdom, practices, and traditions. Through music, message, and mantras, we combine old and new ideas to help encourage others to follow their own spiritual path. You guys don't watch any Olympics?
Yes.
And I'm a little strange when it comes to watching television stuff. Those athletes, all the ones that you get their history, have you noticed they have homelessness and abuse and poverty and physical difficulty and injury? And yet they're able to stay focused to such a degree. And I've heard them describe it as they increase their energy in order to maintain a focus to go back and do what they have to do. The one young man with the broken thumb and the huge hematoma on his butt that he had to get. Are you allowed to say butt in church? Well, I was fascinated because I'm at a place in my own spiritual path where energy has a different meaning, I think, than what they were talking about. But as I started to process that, I'm thinking, wait a minute. This same energy is what I use in prayer and meditation to ask for connection to the angels that some of you may remember that I talked about before. And it's that focus on those angels and spirits and guides that help me have the courage to go ahead and do what I have to do. Certainly nothing compared to the life-threatening things that those young people do. They're literally, if you're going 75 miles an hour on 2 sticks down a mountain, you're threatening your life. And I know we're going to talk about fear and etc., but you know, the courage it takes to do that, especially after you've been injured, fascinates me. I'm going to use some of that energy to call in the 4 directions. You're welcome to join us.
Yeah, no, I think she needs to
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. And we honor Mother Earth and Father and Sun and the stars. Our Earth prayer for today. Earth Mother, Star Mother, may we all remember we are but cells in your body that dance together. You are the grain and the loaf that sustains us each day. As you are patient with our struggles to learn, so shall we be patient with ourselves and each other. So, blessings to you this morning. Thank you. Thank you. I love the way we talked about the earth energies and how it's surrounding us, and Lee brought that to our attention just now, and I'd like us to drop down into our center. That means release whatever's on your lap if you can, uncross your ankles, and place your feet flat on Mother Earth, and feel Mother Earth's energy as we all get centered together here in the center of Universal Light. You may want to close your eyes and bow your head down. Drop down to that beautiful heart. And just feel the energy around you as well.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. How are you? Good. So before I start my lecture, I don't really like to call it a lecture, before I just start to speak, how's that? I want to tell you all I love you, And if you could tell each other that you love each other, I would love that. So we generally start that way. Last time I had everybody do that. Just turn to the person next to you. You may not know them and say, I love you.
I love you. I love you. I love you, Joe.
And the reason we do that, or the reason I do that, is because I would like us to start seeing each other as we walk through the world as simply a vibration of love and none of the other junk that comes along, right, with what happened to us in our lives and the heaviness that we carry around or the filter we see other people through. Can we just every day look at someone and say, I love them because they exist, because they are manifested in form, and because they're walking the earth with us. So thank you. So before we start, we're going to do a meditation. Is that okay?
Yes.
Great. And so it goes along with Carol, had us tune in with Om. And so we're going to sing Aum, A-U-M, Aum, and it's just a different version of Om. But Aum's purpose is to connect us with the deepest, most inner part of our heart, where our soul lives, where the divinity of us lives, not our head. It's to quiet our mind and allow us to come from this space and this space only. So if you would bring your hands into prayer pose, you'll leave your thumbs extended for this one, and then put the thumbs in the notch at the bottom of the throat. And in the meridian system, or in the system of Naam is also based in the Kabbalah. And so in the Kabbalah, you have a meridian point in the back of your neck that is called Da'ath, and it allows you to tap into your highest self without all the other earthly stuff attached to it. So we're going to sing Aum up the scale. It goes Aum, 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 Aum. Okay? And we're going to open up our hearts. And then we're going to get rid of all the fear today. Okay, so our hands thumbs into the notch of the throat. Take an inhale. Exhale. See yourself, just envision yourself at your highest, the best version of you that you can possibly imagine. See yourself surrounded in light and love. And we sing Aum. Inhale. Aum. Just shake your hands a little bit. Perfect. All right. let's get into this, yeah? Okay. So last time I was here, we spoke about the truth of who we each are, and the truth is love. And so this time I wanted to speak about fear, because it gets in our way of being loved. And in my world, and in my heart, and in my head, there are two definitions of fear. And at any given time, when you make a decision, you're choosing one version or the other. One is forget everything and run. And the other is face everything and rise. So, and at every moment you're choosing between fear and love. If you're choosing from fear, being afraid of something, and it causes you to stop and not move forward or to dim your light, then you're coming from the place of forget everything and run. If you come from a space of love, and you see something that you're afraid of, and you're like, I got this, and you're going to pummel through it, then you're meeting it with love, because it's causing you growth. If it causes you to become stagnant, it's forget everything and run. If it's causing you to grow, it's face everything and rise. So I'm going to talk about how we do that, because it seems so simple in theory, right? That at any point in time we get to choose between love and fear. But we have a lot of conditioning from the way we grew up, from our parents, our peers, our work environment, the way we perceive the world around us, that keep us in a mindset of how things should look, how they should feel, how they should be, what they should sound like. And so we need to get out of our conditioned patterns in order to come from our space of truth and love, so that we can rise when fear meets us. So there is a saying, and it says, you cannot be faithful to two masters if they are presenting conflicting ideas to you. And that means that if you are coming from a space of forget everything and run, you're actually in the dark. You cannot see light. Therefore, the truth of who you are, which is light, can't come out and radiate into the world, because you're being darkness, and those two cannot exist in the same place. You can't be darkness and light at the same time. They don't coexist together. So we need to come from a space of remembering who we are, so that we can move forward and use the fear that comes up as a guidepost. If you're afraid of something, what is it telling you?
It's not good.
That it's say that again?
It's not good.
You're growing.
Are you? Oh, okay.
Right, but see, everybody's perception is different, right? So if something causes you to be afraid and you go, oh my God, and you take a deep breath and it starts to cause you to shake, right? You're like, that can't be good for me, right? I'm going to stop, I'm going to go away from it. But in actuality, it's a guidepost telling you that you're actually on the right path, because it's causing you growth, and growth is uncomfortable. If everything was always comfortable, life would be really easy. But it wasn't meant to be really easy all the time, because that wouldn't cause growth. You grow when you're challenged. You grow when you're afraid. You grow when you have to step out of your comfort zone and outside of the pretty box that we've all created for ourselves, planted the flowers, tended the garden. But what happens if there's a weed in the garden? What do you do? Do you run away from the weed? Oh my God, there's a weed in the ground. You pull it out. Right, so if your perception of something, if it comes up as fear, and your perception says, that can't be good, that's the weed. Pull it out. That's not true. Yes, the fear is telling you, you've got it. If you just take 2 or 3 steps more, you're going to break through. This won't be fear-filled anymore. This action or that person cannot cause that reaction in you anymore if you just keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. But what happens is we get afraid and we go, and we stop dead in our tracks, or we take 4 steps backwards, which is even worse, right? We regress. How horrible. Then your light goes. What did I say the last time? Never dim your light for anyone. And if they ask you to, tell them wear sunglasses. Right? Because how dare anybody ask anybody to be less than they were meant to be? Your true full expression is love and light. That is who you are. No one can take it away from you. No one can change it. They can convince you you're not. But then at the end of the day, you're responsible for taking that on. And then you're responsible for thinking you're less than. They're just a person that has an opinion. And if they see something in you that causes fear in them, and then they ask you, please, can you just dim that a little bit? Because it's making me really uncomfortable. Guess what they're afraid of? Their own light. They're not afraid of you, but you are projecting something into the world that they're not quite comfortable, right, owning for themselves. And so what you need to do is shine brighter, because then it gives them the permission to be as bright as they possibly can. You've now created a space of acceptance and love so that they can be who they want to be inside. You all have that voice inside that says, I can be that big, but I'm going to stay like this because everyone around me is really comfortable, and I don't want to shake things up, and I don't want to go against the status quo, right? And so I'm just going to be here. But at the end of the day, before you go to bed, ask yourself, have I truly lived today? Have I truly lived? In my fullest potential, have I screamed out loud? Have I sung? Have I danced in the rain? If it's cloudy, have I created my own sunshine? Did I fully live today? If your answer is no, then you get to go back and look at your garden and pull the weeds out, one by one by one. Because what we can never do is beat ourselves up for being afraid. What we need to do is open up our arms and embrace our fear and say, I've got you. This is a safe space for you to live, because every time you come up, I'm going to meet you with love, and we're going to work it out together. You have to start being compassionate to yourself. You have to start loving yourself, even if you believe that you made mistakes, even if you believe that you're on the wrong path now. Do you know that there are no wrong paths? None. There are detours. You've just taken a detour. It might take you longer to get there, but you're eventually going to get there, right? You're just taking the scenic route now, right? Or the very not scenic route, like driving through Nebraska where it's flat and there's nothing for days. You have those options, right? So, a lot of construction, right? Sometimes you think, I'm going to take the shortest path, right? I did that this morning. The shortest path to Cottonwood. Yeah, not so. Construction. And everybody's going 10 miles an hour. And I was like, oh God, I have 8 miles to go, and it's going to take an hour to get there. Because I thought, I'll take the shortest route. But the shortest route sometimes is the longest route. Because, do you know why? Because the divine is going to put stuff in your way to see if you can figure out how to get around it, instead of it stopping you, getting into your head going, oh my God, now I'm going to be late, now I'm not going to make it. There's my fear. I'm not going to make it, I'm going to be late, I'm going to run in and not know what I say. I lived it today. I'm afraid right now. Right now, watch. I'm afraid. But I do this because if I don't, then I will always live less than I can be. And I don't know on any given day if what I ever have to say makes any sense. But what I do know is that I lived a lot of years not saying what I had to say because it made people uncomfortable, or they didn't like me very much because of it. Yes, and so I'm always kind and I'm always compassionate, but they always don't agree with me. And that's okay, they don't need to, but I want to be accepted, right? I don't want to be judged. So anytime you make a judgment on yourself or someone else, you are acting out of fear, because there again is something in them that they're projecting outward into this beautiful world that you are uncomfortable with. So, does everyone know who Marianne Williamson is?
Yes.
She has that beautiful quote, right? Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. Isn't that true?
Yes. Yes.
What would happen if you allowed yourself to walk out of here today, throw your arms up in the air and say, I'm done with living small. I'm done. I don't want you anymore. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve the world. Do you know what happens if you live small? You make my life less than. Do you want to do that?
No.
I don't want the less than life. You have to go live in your fullest potential with your brightest light and the most love that you can coming out of your heart. And the reason is that if you took one drop out of the ocean, it's no longer an ocean. You took a drop out of the ocean. That ocean needs every single drop to be the complete ocean. The world needs every one of your lights to be a complete and whole light. To shine divinity constantly means we all need to shine divinity. Not just me, not just Vicky, and then the rest of you can sit in the darkness. No, the world becomes a better place when we don't live in the forget everything and run, but when we live in the face everything and rise. Because when you face everything and rise, you are allowing your frequency and your vibration to amplify out into the world. And what you put out into the world is what you get back. If you put fear out into the world, guess what's going to happen?
Fear.
You get more things that confront that one fear. Do you ever, everybody always has an expression, I keep reliving this experience, I don't know why. It's different players, but it looks the same. It feels the same even. That's because every time you chose out of fear, the same situation has to occur so that you can choose love this time. If you don't choose love, guess what's going to happen next time? It's going to replay so that you can recreate it and you can come from a space of love. As long as you choose to forget everything and run in that situation, it's going to keep coming back and keep coming back. Which is why it feels like Groundhog Day. Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
It's the same day, over and over and over again. Yeah, right? And so one thing may be different, but it's the same day. It's the same day. And then what you do with that day is always up to you, right? Nobody else can live your daily life for you. Nobody else can live your life for you. You get to choose every day and say, you know what? When somebody told me that I was not good enough when I was 7 or I couldn't sing, I had a nun tell me that I should never sing again because I would break all the windows. But I was like 8 years old, right? So I didn't sing for the longest time. And then when I found Naam Yoga, I was like, we have to sing in public, like out loud, leading a room. Oh, yeah, no. And then I realized, well, what would happen if I just let it out and didn't care what anybody thought about it, right? I don't care. Somebody once came to class just this past week and said, I don't sing. I go, okay, why? Oh, it's not good. How do you know it's not good? Oh, no. It sounds like a hurling cat or something, I said. And I thought, well, how about you just sing and we get to be the judge of that, or we don't judge you at all, and you just get to sing. I don't know about that. Well, we'll see. I said, you can just hang out. So we start singing and I see them mouthing the words. And I went, do it. Sing. Sing. Everybody here is singing, and no one's watching you. No one's looking at you. No one's even listening. They're listening to themselves, and probably at the same time judging themselves, going, is that right? Oh my God, I missed the note. Oh my God. It's constant, is it not?
Yes.
It's like a tribe of cats trying to be herded up here all the time. Yeah, they're running and screaming and clawing at each other because everyone has to get on top. The opinions in your head are just opinions, and they want you to believe this thought, believe that thought. That's the ego. That's the small self. The small self wants to be important. The small self wants to be special. The small self wants to be better. It wants to be more intelligent, right? And so that's not you living in your divine self, because the divine self isn't in competition with anybody. Because I see everybody, if I'm living in my divine self, I see everybody as equal. You are not better than anyone else sitting in the room. I'm not better than anyone else sitting in the room. We are all the same. I was created from this beautiful, amazing source of love, and so are you. Therefore, I am no different than you. I'm no different. We choose if we listen to this or not, right? We have a saying in Naam, you should think with your heart and feel with your head. And most times we think with our head and feel with our heart. And if we do that, like the traditional way of thinking with your head and feeling from your heart, when you feel too much, what happens? It's messy.
Yes.
It's messy. You get hurt, right? You are very concerned about what other people feel about you, right? And you're always like, am I good enough? I don't know. Did I say the right thing? That's the head leading your life, and the heart is over emotional at the moment. So we need to switch it. We need to live from our heart, think with our heart, meaning everything we do needs to come from a space of love, from the face everything and rise, right? Everything we do. Then the mind has to follow the heart, and then this is feeling what this is thinking. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, yay! Oh, God. Okay, so now I just lost. He's like a cat now, just running up there. Now I don't know where I'm going. I'm kind of lost. Oh, we're good. Okay, I got it. So we need to quiet this down. And the one way, I'm going to teach you something that you can say at any time during the day, which will get you connected to the truth of who you are, so that the divine can take over, especially when something comes up and you go, I'm afraid, or you feel afraid, or that like heart starts to beat faster, or you feel a bit of anxiety. That happens all day long, right? So there's a few phrases. Are you ready? Okay. You're going to open up your hands, put your palms together. You don't have to have your palms like this. If it's happening, you'd be like, oh my God, excuse me for a moment. I know. You just live your life. Even if you're driving, you can say it, right? So, and because the truth of ourselves is, we are love. We're going to, yes, affirm our truth. So we say, I know what I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know who I am in truth. I know who I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free. 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 There you go. Okay, so you become liberated when you live in the space of your truth. If you're living in a space of love, you face everything and rise, and then all of the things that kept you small and disconnected fall away because you just affirmed who you are. I know who I am in truth. And the truth of me is that I am an extension of the divine manifested as a beautiful human being, and I get to be an outward expression of that love and light all day long, and no one can stop me. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve, meaning I know how I need to walk through this world. I need to walk through this world as a source of love and light so that it gives people permission to do the same. If I'm living in fear, forget everything and run, then I'm telling you that it's okay to run away from things that challenge you or that cause you growth. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be part of you dimming your light ever. I want to be part of you shining so bright that the world might explode, right? So I love that. Imagine that if everyone just got to walk around who they were, how bright it would be. You'd be crying all day long, would you not?
Yes.
Yes? Lee speaks, and I cry. He spoke, I cried. I get up, we like all the light and the sound. And what if it was like that all day long? Every time you walked around and hugged somebody, it was like, how incredible, right? You'd be knocked right out of all the nonsense that's going on in your head. We have to maybe figure that out. We've got to maybe make a device that reads people's love and light. And we can all wear it, and when we get close enough, it starts to like, oh, right? There's a divine being in my presence. Yeah. Because if you forget that someone is divine, you judge them, right?
Yes.
You're finding fault in them.
Yes.
You are, oh, what's she wearing? Oh my God. You would never do that if you could see the true beauty of somebody. If that you remembered that the beauty of who they are is God. It's the divine, right? There is this saying, I love it. The founder of Naam Yoga always says, you should speak to people as if God was sitting on the tip of your tongue.
Wow.
Meaning, don't ever let anything come out of your mouth at or about another human being that doesn't uplift them. If you're part of the tearing down of another person, you're living in fear, and then you're causing that fear to be part of their life, and at some point, karma will come. It's good, isn't it, karma? It will come. And not that that's a bad thing, but you're going to have to recreate that situation in love. So, yeah? So speak to yourself, first and foremost, as if God was sitting at the tip of your tongue. Because how you see yourself and how you treat yourself is how others will see and treat you. If you want to be seen as love and light, be love and light. If you want to be seen as small, unworthy, not enough, then you'll act that way, and you'll think of yourself that way. But who said you weren't enough? Another person that didn't feel like they were enough. They just projected their own fear onto you, and you took it into your heart, and you made it yours. You made it yours. You walked around with it for, I'm 46, I walked around with it for about 42 years. Do you know? And I still walk around with it. Don't think that because I'm up here speaking that I've got it all figured out. I don't have it all figured out at all. And I fail daily. But what I do know is that at the end of every day, I do catalog my day from the last moment all the way back to the first moment, from the time I woke up, to see where I chose out of fear and not in love. Because I don't want to do it again tomorrow. And I may. And I may. And I do. But maybe I get to about noon before I do it. I may get to like 4 o'clock. If I get to 4 o'clock without doing it, it's like, it was like the lottery just got won. Some days I wake up and I do it immediately, right? Monday was one of those days for me. I'll talk about Monday for a moment. I woke up and I went, oh, it's Monday. And I was already in that space of it's Monday. And my partner asked me, what's wrong? Why do you not like Mondays? And I'm like, something always happens that's not good. Right? And he went, well, you can change that. And I was like, yeah, but today doesn't feel like it's going to be good. And he was like, so it won't be. Because you've taken it on. And I'm not joking. 5 minutes later, I got a phone call from my mother, and something wasn't good. And I recreated my fear that was in my head. I created it in my physical life. It was just a thought, right? But I took it on, and then my attitude adjusted towards it, right? So I was feeling less than, the day was going to be dark, right? Like energetically dark. And then I created a whole bunch of actual darkness in my life by thinking that way. It was one of the worst days of my life. And I allowed myself to stay in the darkness. I gave myself 24 hours. After that, you've got to get up, open the blinds, move on, and move through it. Because if you don't, then she can't. If you don't, then she can't. And if you're dark, she's going to stay dark. And if you're not full of love and acceptance and hope, then she won't be full of love, acceptance, and hope. And the situation will get worse. So guess what? The next day I woke up and I was like, I got this. Totally got it. We're going to walk through I want you to walk through I'm going to swear. I'm so sorry. But it comes with the turf of being Irish, right? And so I want you to walk through the earth like you're a badass. And I mean it. Own every step, own every word, own every movement, own every glance. Walk through this world like you know who created you. Seriously. At the end of every day, do you think about how you got here? Do you ever just sit and go, one day I wasn't here, one day I was here. It's a mind trip, right? And that one day, this won't be here again. How crazy is that? So, can you see the magnificence and the miracle of who and actually what you are? That out of nothing, out of love, you were created, and you took on a human form, and you walk this earth to be able to be an outward projection of that love that created you. That's incredible. Incredible. Don't ever forget who you are. So we're not going to move out of fear, forget everything and run. We're going to do what? Face everything and rise, right? And walk right through it. You know, use the imagery that gets me through it sometimes is, you know, if a building's on fire and you're like in the building, you're like, I gotta get out. Otherwise I'm gonna burn up, and I don't really want to die that way. I have a fear of that, by the way, which means at some point, maybe, I don't know. But I don't want to die that way, so I use that imagery, like, there's fire, but I can walk through it. If I walk really quickly, right, I might not get burned. So the harder and with more force that you walk towards the fear, it has no power anymore over you. If you come at something, right, it goes like this. Oh God, she's not afraid. I better move aside. If you allow it to have power over you where you go, it gets bigger and the fear gets deeper, it feels worse, right? So if you just walk towards it, it has to go over into the shadows of either side of you because it can't live where there's light. Fear, forget everything and run, is darkness. If you're walking through the world as light, it has to leave. It can't be there when you're there shining. Can't. This whole world, this whole life is like the Wizard of Oz. Pull the curtain back. There's nobody there but a man. We're all just people doing the best that we can every day, right? And if we remember that if somebody says something that wounds us or that hurts us or causes us to be afraid of ourselves or something else, can we remember that they're just acting the same way? They're acting out of fear. So why am I taking it on? Why? Why am I living my life in a projection of somebody else? Because their whole world is a projection of how they feel about themselves. So I don't want to do that anymore. Do you? I don't want to. I want to be. And in order to be, you have to let it all go. Yeah?
That's a part of karma. It comes back to bite you right in the butt.
You bet your behind it
Yep.
does. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so last thing I'm going to say, because I think I was like, the root of all suffering is the giving of a shit. Do you get it?
Amen.
When you don't care what anybody thinks about you or what they might say to you, you won't suffer at all because you'll get to live in your fullest potential, in your highest light, exuding the most love that you can out into the world. You suffer because you give a shit. Don't give a shit. Right? I had a spiritual teacher told me that, but he didn't use that word, he used the F word. So I was like I'm not going to use that word here in church. So anyway, I don't care what anybody else thinks about you. Don't care what your mind is telling you about yourself. Ask your heart at the end of the day, how do I feel about me? Your heart. And if it goes, oh, you know what, that's your head. If it's telling you or making you feel less than, that's not your heart speaking to you. The truth of who you are will always make you feel better. It will always lift you up. It will always make you smile. It will always make you laugh. It won't make you want to cry, break down, or hide. You don't need to hide anymore. We're going to be free from this day forward. Next time I see you, I want to be knocked over. Yeah? And if I'm not, I'm going to ask you, what are you afraid of today? So think for a moment, what are you afraid of today? Just one thing. And can you vow to yourself today that when you leave here, can you confront it head on? Can you walk right towards it? Because if you did, it won't exist anymore.
Toward and through it.
Toward and through it, my love. You bet your behind. With the highest boots and the shoulders back and the chin up and the smile on your face. Going, I know what I am in truth. I know who I am in truth. And I know how I serve in truth.
Is what I am.
That's it. Because then I truly am free. Yeah. So face everything and rise. Thank you.
Can't touch her, it'll blow up.